Welcome, everyone. I'd like to share a story with you. We are talking about food and food we like to eat. What do you like to eat? I like to eat pizza and pie and lots of other stuff, actually. I like to eat a lot of stuff. I don't really have a food that I don't like. This is a story about Frances. And Frances is going to talk about what she likes to eat. Is Frances a person? No, she's a little furry animal. She's so cute. I actually think she's a badger. But let's see if the story tells us. So this is a well-loved book called Bread and Jam for Frances. Do you like bread and jam? I'm not sure if I like bread and jam, and I wasn't sure, so at the end of the story, I'm going to try bread and jam, and I'm going to tell you what I think. The person that wrote this book, or the author, their name is Russel Hoban, and the person who's the illustrator, or drew the pictures, is called Lillian Hoban. Russel Hoban and Lillian Hoban. They must be related. Because sometimes when you're related, you have the same last name. Bread and jam for Frances. Now remember, it's a little bit like you have to be patient because I need to see the words, just like when we're at school. And so I'm going to read the words, and this kind of has a lot of words. So I'm going to read the words, but then I will make sure to give you a really good look at the picture. So just take a deep breath, like we practice, and be patient because I promise I'll show you the picture, but listen closely to the words. It was breakfast time and everyone was at the table. Father was eating his egg. Mother was eating her egg. Gloria was sitting in the high chair and eating her egg too. So there's mother and father. Gloria must be the baby in the family. Now having the same thing for breakfast. I have the same thing for breakfast at my house. What a lovely egg, said father. There's one thing I'm fond of for breakfast. It's a soft-boiled egg. Yes, said mother, spooning up the egg for baby. It's just the thing to start the day off right. Ah, said Gloria as mother gave her her egg. Frances did not eat her egg. Frances was eating bread and jam. And this is a little song that she was singing to her egg. She sang it very softly, so I'm going to come close. I do not like the way you slide. I do not like your soft inside. I do not like you lots of ways, and I could do for many days without eggs. Do you like eggs? I actually really love soft-boiled eggs. What did you say, Frances? Said her father. Nothing, said Frances, as she was spreading some jam on her slice of bread. Why do you keep eating bread and jam? Asked father, when you have a lovely soft-boiled egg. One of the reasons I like bread and jam, said Frances, is that it doesn't slide off your spoon in a funny way. Eggs are kind of runny and funny, aren't they? I kind of understand what she's talking about. Well, of course, said father, not everyone is fond of soft-boiled eggs for breakfast, but there are other kinds of eggs. There's sunny side up, there's sunny side down eggs. Yes, said Frances, but sunny side up eggs lie on the plate and they look up at you in a funny way. And sunny side down eggs look just on their stomachs and they're waiting. What about scrambled eggs, said father. Scrambled eggs fall off the fork and they roll off the table, said Frances. I think it's time for you to go to school now, Frances, said her mother. Now, right now, everybody's staying at home, but one day we'll come back to preschool. She's all ready for school. Frances picked up her her books, her lunchbox, and her skipping rope. And then she kissed her mother and father goodbye, and she went to the bus stop. Oh, she must be in elementary school, because typically when you go to elementary school, you might ride a bus, a school bus. While she waited for the bus, she skipped and she sang. Jam on biscuits, jam on toast. Jam is the thing that I like the most. Jam is sticky, jam is sweet. Jam is tasty, jam's a treat. Raspberry, strawberry, gooseberry, I'm very fond of jam. She's very excited about that jam and bread, isn't she? Well, that evening at the dinner table, Mother had cooked breaded veal cutlets with string beans and baked potatoes. That sounds delicious. Ah, said Father, what is there handsomer on a plate and tastier to eat than breaded veal cutlet? It is a nice dish, isn't it? Said Mother. Eat up the string bean, Gloria. Oh, said Gloria, and she ate it up. She'd already eaten her dinner of strained beef and sweet potatoes because she was a baby, but she liked to practice with the string beans when she could. Do you practice using your silverware like Gloria? It's good to practice things that might not be easy for you. Where do breaded veal cutlets come from? Asked Frances. And why are French cut string beans called string beans? We can talk about that another time, said Father. Now it's time to eat our dinner. And Frances looked down at her plate and she sang, what do cutlets wear before they're breaded? Flannel nightgowns, cowboy boots, furry jackets, sailor suits? Then she spread her jam on a nice slice of bread and she took a bite. She won't try anything new, said Mother to Father. She just eats bread and jam. How do you know what you'll like if you don't even try anything? Asked Father. Well, said Frances, there are many different things to eat, and they taste very many different ways. But when I have bread and jam, I always know what I'm getting, and I'm always pleased and happy. You try new things in your school lunches, said Mother. Today I gave you a chicken salad sandwich. Well, there now, said Father to Frances. Wasn't it good? Well, said Frances, I traded it to Albert. For what? said her father. Bread and jam, said Frances. The next morning at breakfast, Father sat down and said, now I call that a pretty sight. Fresh orange juice and poached eggs on toast. There's a proper breakfast for you. Thank you for saying so, said Mother. Poached eggs on toast do have a cheery look, I think. Frances began to sing a poached egg song. Poached eggs on toast, why do you shiver with such a funny little quiver? Then she looked down and saw that she did not have a poached egg. I have no poached egg, says Frances. I have nothing but orange juice. I know, said Mother. Well, why is that, said Frances. Everybody else has a poached egg. Even Gloria has a poached egg. And she's just a baby. But you do not like eggs, said Mother. And that is why I did not poach one for you. Have some bread and jam if you are hungry. So Frances ate her bread and jam, and she went to school. When the bell rang for lunch, Frances sat down next to her friend Albert. What do you have today, said Frances. I have cream cheese, cucumber and tomato sandwich on rye bread, said Albert, and a pickle to go with it. That sounds pretty good. And a hard-boiled egg and a little cardboard shaker of salt to go with that, and a thermos of bottled milk. And a bunch of grapes and a tangerine and a cup of custard and a spoon to eat it with. What do you have, Frances? He asked. Well, Frances opened up her lunch and she looked down and she said, bread and jam and milk Wow, you're lucky, said Albert. That's just what you like. You don't have to trade me now, and I can eat my own lunch. So they're both pretty happy about that, seems like. That's right, said Francis. And I had bread and jam for dinner last night, and I had bread and jam for breakfast this morning. Well, you certainly are lucky, said Albert. Yes, said Francis. I'm a very lucky girl, I guess. But I'll trade you if you want, she said. That's all right, said Albert. This looks really good to me. I like cream cheese with cucumbers and tomatoes on rye. And he took up two napkins from his lunchbox, and he tucked one under his chin, and he put one in his lap. And with his spoon, he cracked the eggshell of his hard-boiled egg, and he peeled it away bit by bit. And he took the bite of the end of the egg. He sprinkled a little salt on the yolk, and he put the egg back down, and he took out his milk, and he drank his milk. And he was so happy with his lunch. He took a bite of his sandwich and a bite of his pickle and then a bite of his hard-boiled egg, and then he did the pattern again. He took a bite of his sandwich and then his pickle and then his hard-boiled egg, and then he did the pattern again. He took a bite of his pickle and then his sandwich and then his hard-boiled egg, and then he followed it with a good drink of his milk. He was very happy with his lunch. He ate it all gone, and then he cleared away the crumpled up wax paper, the eggshell, and the tangerine peel, and he set the cup of mustard in the middle of his napkin at his desk, and he took up his spoon and he ate up all the custard, and then Albert folded the napkin, wiped his face, and put everything away. He screwed up the top of his thermos bottle, and he shut up his lunchbox, and he was ready to go out to play. Oh, wow, I like to have such a good lunch, he said. And Frances continued to eat her bread and jam, drink her milk. Then she went out to the playground and she skipped rope. She did not skip as fast as she had skipped in the morning, and she sang a song. Jam in the morning, jam at noon, bread and jam by the light of the moon. Jam is very nice. Does she seem as happy about that bread and jam as she did the other time she sang that song? Well, when Frances got home from school, Mother said, I know you like to have a little snack after school, so I have one all ready for you. I do like snacks, says Frances, and I'm hungry. She came running to the kitchen. Here, said Mom, and she handed her a piece of bread and jam and a glass of milk. Aren't you worried that I will get a little bit sick and all my teeth will fall out from eating so much bread and jam? Asked Frances. I don't think that will happen for a while, said her mother. So eat up and enjoy it. I know it's your favorite. So Frances ate most of her bread and jam, but she did not eat all of it. And after her snack, she went out to skip on her jump with her jump rope. You notice something happening here? Frances skipped a little more slowly than she had skipped at noon, and she sang, jam for snacks, jam for meals. I know how a jam jar feels, full of jam. So that evening for dinner, Mother cooked spaghetti and meatballs with tomato sauce. Ooh, that sounds delicious and spicy. I'm glad to see there will be enough for second helping, said Father, because spaghetti and meatballs is one of my favorite dishes. So he thinks because Frances doesn't like that he's going to get extra, and he's pretty excited about that. I'm just going to take a moment and look at Frances's face. Does Frances seem very happy about what's happening? No. She's sad. Let's find out. Spaghetti and meatballs is a favorite with everybody, said Mother. Try a little spaghetti, Gloria. Said Gloria, and she tried the spaghetti. Well, Frances looked down at her plate, and she saw that there was no spaghetti and no meatballs. There was a slice of bread and jam, and Frances began to cry. My goodness, said Mother. Frances is crying. What is the matter? Asked Father. Frances looked down at her plate. She sang a little sad song. She sang it so softly that Mother and Father could barely hear her. What I am is tired of jam, she sang. I want spaghetti and meatballs, said Frances. What did you say, Mother? Mother asked. I want some spaghetti and meatballs, please, asked Frances. You would like some spaghetti and meatballs, asked Father. I had no idea that you like spaghetti and meatballs. I don't think Frances had any idea that she might like something different. But she said, may I have some, please? How do you know what I'll like if I won't even try me? Asked Frances, wiping her eyes. So Mother gave Frances spaghetti and meatballs. She tried it, and she liked it, and she ate it all up. The next day, when the bell rang for lunch, Albert said, what do you have today? Well, said Frances, laying a paper doily on her desk and setting a tiny vase of violets in the middle of it. Let me see. And she arranged her lunch on her doily. Do you think she has bread and jam? Or do you think she's being a little bit more adventurous now? Oh, look, she has lots of choices. Let's see what she has. I have a thermos bottle with cream of tomato soup, she said, and a lobster salad and sandwich. On a thin slice of white bread, I have celery sticks and carrot sticks and black olives and a little cardboard shaker of salt for my celery and 2 plums and tiny basket of cherries and vanilla pudding and with chocolate sprinkles and a spoon to eat it with. Well, said Albert, that sounds like a really good lunch. I think it's nice that there are all different kinds of lunches and breakfasts and dinners and snacks. I think eating is nice, said Frances. So do I, said Albert. And she made the lobster salad sandwich, the celery, the carrot sticks, and the olives come out all even. The end. Have you ever decided that you didn't like any food and you just weren't going to try it? Sometimes you have to give different foods a try. And sometimes you have to try it more than once. And sometimes you have to try it more than twice. They say sometimes you have to try something new, like at least 7 times before your brain and your tummy and your taste buds decide that you actually might like it. So I'm going to let you know that I've never had bread and jam. So I am going to try it. I have a piece of brown bread, and here I'm going to let you watch. And something you might want to try at your house, like we do at school, is spreading. So I have raspberry jam. And I have some brown, my favorite kind of seed bread. And I have some butter. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put a little bit of butter on my plastic knife. So if you feel like trying this, you can hang onto it with one hand, but also you can just leave it on your plate and you can support it. And you put it down and you push and spread. Put it down, push and spread. It's kind of tricky, and you only get very good at something if you practice. So maybe ask your grown-up if you can practice spreading. Spreading is a very good skill. Now I'm going to take my other knife. This is a silver knife. This is my silverware instead of plastic. And I'm going to add my raspberry jam. I'm going to 1, 2, I don't know how much I like since I've never had this before. So I'm just going to try a little bit. And I can do it by picking it up, but I don't know if it's really good for you to try if you're just starting off. So let's keep it on the plate and we'll spread it around. And if it gets over on the edge, no big deal. I have a napkin to clean up with. So I have bread and jam just like Francis. And you know what I'm going to do? I don't want to take that big bite by myself. So I'm going to cut it in half. Now I have 2 pieces and I think I'm even going to cut it again. I'm going to cut it this way. Whoops, sorry. A little trouble there. You still see? There. Hold on. We have a little technical trouble. Can you still see my sandwich? Okay, let's try it. Hold on. Bear with me. Take a deep breath. Take a deep breath for some patience. Sorry. Oh. Here, we'll just come back up here. So I'm going to cut it one more time, and then I'll show you how many pieces I made. So I cut my bread twice, and I cut it into 1, 2, 3, 4 pieces. So I still have the same amount. I just made smaller pieces for you to try. Here's my taste test. It's actually kind of yummy. I'm going to have to say, I don't think I'd want it for for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. I think this is a yummy snack. And I might have it again. But I think I like the other kinds of foods too. So I'm glad that Francis decided to be adventurous and try some new foods. Hopefully you feel adventurous and try some new foods with your family during Nutrition Week. See you next time.